AI has had its impact on different sectors, on our lives. Like, I can't imagine my life without AI, without, asking, hey Siri, how far is my Uber? Or how far is my order? Or, simple things like, friend suggestions on Facebook or Instagram or so on and so forth, the reels that you get. So it has impacted all of our lives. But what is the kind of impact that you have seen AI have on your organization, on WPP, over the past many years?
Okay, thank you. Simple questions usually require complex answers. I guess my job in WPP is to use AI to optimize the end-to-end marketing supply chain, to essentially solve marketing using AI. You put money in and hopefully more money comes out at the other side. I guess in a world now where it takes seconds to create ads, to be able to test ads against synthetic audiences, to use machine learning to predict activation and then to optimize content across channels, and in a world where that is optimized, I would argue really the only differentiator is human creativity. And I think we've talked about that a lot already. The challenge is for agencies is who gets there first, who creates that end-to-end solution, and then adds additional services on top of that for creativity. That's really the challenge now.
Yeah, so human creativity is the differentiator. And Kunal, in fact, during his conversation with Delshad, spoke about how evoking an emotion is really, really hard. And Ruchira, over to you. For a category like yours, marketing in premium lifestyle category like alcohol, it relies on emotions and human experiences. So tell us, can AI truly capture the human emotion while reaching out to your consumer?
So first of all, congratulations to CNBC and Storyboard 18. You've got two competing agencies sitting right next to each other, talking to each other. That's quite a coup. I am quaking in my boots because I'm sure you guys are really, really the experts. But yeah, if I look at my industry, first of all, human decision-making behavior is at its very core irrational. I think that's been established. Nobel Prizes have been won for it. If that is the case, then what's at the heart of it is not going to be an algorithm, but how you break through to what drives those emotions and how you therefore impact decision-making. If I were to pull back a little bit, phase one of AI was all about efficiency. Daniel, you spoke about it. It was all about efficient targeting, reducing cost, efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. Phase two has actually been data and acquisition. Someone said data is the new oil, and everyone chased after data to say, how do we get data in? And now how do we now create experiences? To your point, we can tell you what could be your preferred flavor amongst all the, I don't know, how many hundreds of scotches across our distilleries, right? Now, and by the way, it predicted mine spot on. Spot on. A liquid I'd never tasted, I liked it, and ever since then, I love it, right? We could tell you about, let's say, what cocktails you want to serve at an intimate dinner serving, etc. Great, super. Where it works with, in industries like ours is, forget the income level, affluent or not. I think what it does is it sorts through various data and gives you the options in a world that's increasingly cluttered, lots of propositions. Kunal spoke about so much data, so much content being thrown at you, right? So what it does is it sorts through all that white noise and gives you something that belongs to you. So personalization is where AI has today arrived in terms of customized solutions. Does that substitute for emotional, let's say the setting, going to Isla, tasting that thing in that moment and saying, I'll always go back to that moment? I don't know. Could it get there? And I guess that's the question this panel is going to talk about. Because my belief is when you make that creative breakthrough, that's when magic will truly happen. Yes. So human creativity to the power of AI and not vice versa.
Over to you, Rohit. Banking as a sector, we have seen how it has been at the front seat of personalization, which Ruchira spoke how AI has helped you guys ace it. So tell us some of your learnings from that, when, everyone was banking digitally. Everyone was, during the COVID times, what were your learnings from that, and how did you make it more personal with your bots, with your chat platforms?
So, the data is both a boon and a bane. in the case of, we possibly as a bank have almost all the data. I mean, most financial institutions have, and when I used to work in an FMCG company, you would not have first-party data. You would have to kind of rely on third-party data, build similar-looking cohorts, and then try and build your own first-party data. But in banking, given the way the customer transacts, if you're his primary banker, you have all that data. I think the biggest advantage of AI, as I see, is in of course, in marketing, this bit about cost optimization is there. But that for me is you would make an ad in 3 months, go into some strange locale, shoot an ad, get that kind of lighting, and then say, what a great achievement I've done. Now you can do that in 3 days using AI. But that, in my view, is just efficiency. And that, it is like the machine generation happening, that's helping efficiency. But the biggest use of AI is when actually it can look at realms and realms of data, predict customer behavior, and do personalization. And I'll give you a few examples as I kind of see it. Now, we have the same problem. We send numerous, you'll be faced with like 30 emails from your bank, which 20 of them are not relevant to you. Now, that's when you have something called the next best offer, and you just kind of send, this guy's an affluent customer. He's good enough to buy a personal loan, home loan. He's good for everything. So I will send him a home loan offer. I'll send him a personal loan message. I'll send him a car loan message. I'll send him a card message. I have 10 cards. I'll send him 10 card messages. But it could be that of those 15 messages, 12 are not relevant for that customer. How do you use AI to actually identify what is the most relevant? So therefore, you can create personalized propositions and real-time offers for that customer. So if I know that Shivani shops a lot internationally, when you're shopping on an international site, can I serve you an offer at that point of time that on a Kotak card, on foreign shopping, you have this particular offer? Now, I have a greater chance of converting you to my card at that point of time than sending you 20 messages about shopping in particular. So that for me, how do I really personalize experiences right from thinking of building products to actually when the person is using the product and drive higher usage and just make it more relevant for the customer in the banking financial industry is what is for me is the biggest utilization of AI.
And since we have two brands from diverse sectors on the panel, then what does it leave you with your expectations from, your agency partners that you work with? What do you expect from your agency where, you are expecting so much of personalization, so much of, personal messages to the consumers? What do you expect? How has your expectation evolved?
You can go first.
Yeah, I think that's a tough one. By the way, if you think agencies are not using AI, they are. They're just not telling you about it, which is the single largest insight that all of us should have if you don't have it already. I think what you expect from agencies, therefore, is, I would go back to saying, going beyond what AI can solve to genuine insights and consumer propositions. I saw everyone smiling when Rohit was talking about the 15 offers that come. And there were a lot of people who were nodding very, emphatically, because all of us go through it. And we all know that we just disregard all of it, throwing baby and bathwater out together, right? So to his point, if you were able to deliver something to me in that occasion where it actually solves for the problem I have, which is at the heart of every marketing solution, which is identifying the consumer tension and then resolving for that with an insight on how you could do it better than anyone else, it comes back to that. AI can actually help you make incredibly smart decisions, right? I don't know that we're using it as that. I think we're using it to turn out invites for evening experiences and saying, help me create an invite on this particular, on chat and send it forward. Yeah. Not the best use.
How can, Sanjay, how can you, create or AI help demonstrate measurable business impact and growth?
See, I think one of the power of AI is on a couple of different fronts, right? The one is it creates optionalities, I think, which is what I think Daniel was talking about. And I think it's, if you look at, I think Kunal had a great, I love the term, boring transactions, interesting transactions. We inordinately as companies spend a lot more time creating the data to then make the interesting transactions, if you kind of, take the same parlance and incorporate this thing. What AI is doing is with the compute power, it's creating optionalities at an incredibly rich pace for you. So now from that optionality, you're spending a lot more time saying, okay, what makes sense to do? And I can make those choices, understand the feedback on those choices to your point on the measurable business results. So you can configure your systems, you can configure the business to understand the intelligence of the choices you're making and make different choices and kind of figure out what value parameters you want to start to measure and improve on. But one of the traps that I feel a lot of people fall into is to equate AI to efficiency, right? And I think it's a bit like, there's a great quote which says, transformation is about the caterpillar becoming the butterfly, not a faster caterpillar. And I think if you use AI for only automation, you're just going to have a lot more faster caterpillars. Whereas the whole power is you are now able to link data in a manner that wasn't able to get done before because of the power of the compute, and get insights that you didn't know before. Therefore, you can reimagine how you think about a process itself, an engagement pattern itself, link very, very, earlier uncorrelated data aspects to create something very new, instead of saying, I know how this works, let me just templatize the steps and make this happen even faster. I'm not saying that's bad, but that's like, sitting on a gold mine and digging with a spoon. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Can I add a point to that? I think, honestly, for me, the session itself, creativity versus AI, I think we give too much importance to marketing and AI in marketing. I think I want to take a step back. For me, the biggest use case of AI is not in marketing; it's in customer experience. And it's all about, it has to be thought through as a business versus saying how can AI help
or
better
not just one function, one function of the business, which is marketing.
Because finally, the customer experience happens at various levels. It starts from saying that, as Ruchira said, what is the right flavor for him? And it's got nothing to do with marketing. It's about, if I understand what is the right flavor for him, how do I build the right product and the right proposition for him? Now, if I understand why he likes that flavor, if I have a deep-rooted insight there, then I can make a more targeted communication, and where marketing can kind of help that. And once I've found a better communication, then my agency using AI can automate that process of making the film faster, cheaper, and I can kind of do that. Once I'm running those films, and then I know which one's working, which one's not working, based on how AI is getting that data, I can make my media more efficient. I think it's the whole life cycle of the business that AI can help you deliver better value for the customer, better customer experience, and deliver more profitability for you as a company. And I think that's the way I've always looked at AI in its entirety in the business. And therefore, when I always have these conversations of AI in marketing, I sometimes struggle with that conversation, because I end up getting into, but it's not just about making it cheaper and faster. It's about the whole customer experience end-to-end that AI can influence.
I want to add to that. That's why when we talk about experiences, similarly, we talk about it as an omni-channel journey, which has got only one touch point of that is one content piece. It's literally every single thing, even awareness, advocacy, evangelism, trials, liquid on lips, everything. Now the question is, do you have an underpinning mechanism that helps you to understand the points at which you can make the most impact by knowing what consumers want? I think his example on banking also was brilliant. By the way, we both started our career selling soap, so to speak. So I guess for us, it's been a sea change to say the omni-channel journey can be impacted with just meaningful interventions versus the cookie cutter, one size fits all, put that poster and that soap into every single outlet, and at some point you will succeed in converting it into actual offtake.
And AI also throws some stunning analysis and stunning trends our way. But often, when I speak to, creative folks, especially also from WPP, they say that sometimes we get X number of trends and X number of insights which are generated via technology, Daniel. But then towards the end of the day, when it comes to coming up with that creative piece or coming out with a solution, they often trust their gut. So has it happened in the past that, you've seen the gut give you better results as compared to all the data which was pointing in some other direction?
Yes, so I'm on a panel which gives me license to be controversial. So we've heard the word personalization a lot. And actually, I would argue that that's not the right word. What the right word is relevance. Now, sometimes a personalized ad might be relevant, and sometimes an ad that connects a culture, an experience, a moment is more relevant. And so there's a problem with personalization, which is if I asked you the ads that you remember from now or your childhood, they probably weren't personalized ads. They were shared moments, there were things that connected communities, and coming up with those ideas is extremely hard. We know that we can get AI to optimize content. We know that we can get it to improve our KPIs around activation. There's another problem also with personalization, which is I can create an algorithm that predicts your likelihood to buy a hotel room. Now, what's currently happening in marketing, for the most part, is that I then show the best likely hotel room to each one of you. The problem is I might show the same hotel room to 60 people, which is a stupid thing to do, because as soon as that hotel room is gone, then there's 59 people that don't have it. So what currently happens with personalization is we're building these one-to-one matching solutions. This person's going to buy this one thing. What we need to solve for is how do you optimize your inventory, your revenue across many people? And that's actually an exponentially hard problem. So that's one problem to solve outside of personalization. The other problem to solve is how do we come up with ideas that connect people? Now, so I think we've solved the efficiency problem in WPP. That's been my day job for the past 3 years. What I'm now excited about is how we use AI to enable our creatives to push the boundaries of creativity. So we've actually encoded and encapsulated the creative genius of our creatives, and we now use AI to help them augment their ideas. In fact, we've built a creative brain that's now on back tests able to come up with can-winning campaigns. So we've been able to show that AI can actually produce the same ideas of those can-winning campaigns. And now what we're trying to figure out is how can we get human beings to push the boundaries of that AI. That's, for me, the exciting opportunity.
Your thoughts, Sanjay?
No, I think I agree with what Daniel is saying. I think if you see, at the end of the day, one of the things that creates the power of the insights is connected intelligence, right, which is data. If you look at most enterprises have over a period of time acquired different kinds of systems. Some have been but they're usually siloed. They're not as connected. So when we work with a lot of our clients, what we're finding the biggest unlock first is just actually connecting what you already have. Everybody loves a new system instead of saying, am I getting the most out of what I already have? And when you start to create connected intelligence, you generate a lot more of that insight that you're already sitting on. You just haven't, put the A plus B plus C that you already had in-house, which then gives you more power of, for example, to know an insight. And the other thing that which AI is doing today, it's able to create options for you that didn't exist before. So for example, if you look at the hotel industry, right? So hotel industry, one of the biggest things with search is that most search today is predicated by what you already is available in the site. You can't do an intent-based search. So we did that for one of the largest brands in the world. And when you have an intent-based search, you're basically now searching not by saying, I already decided to go to Thailand, it's in May, where can I go? It's basically saying, I'm a family of 3, we've got a pet, we want to go to a place that's between 25 degrees and 35 degrees, I want to spend, let's say, 2 lakh rupees, where can I go in the world? And it tells you all the places in the world, and then you can choose where you want to go. Now, the fact that intent-based search is going to sell is an insight, is a consumer insight. You couldn't make it real before, but now you can make it real. So, to your point, there's still the human element of saying, to know that intent-based search is what consumers want, is going to be compelling, is human creativity, because that's your insight.
And
that's
then a banking partner can step in and probably come up with excellent offers basis all the intent-based search that you just spoke about.
No, in fact, if I look at banks today, I think are, in fact, a massive platform to be multidimensional in their engagement with consumers. So one of the banks we work with is a travel company now. They want to be a travel company. They actually run one of the largest food delivery apps because they've got the entire base of data. So they're like, we're the food delivery app partner. We are the travel partner. And so, in fact, some of the large banks say that we're a technology company in the business of banking also, right? So, that's the way you look at it then.
Yeah. Over to you, Rohit. I want to ask you, one of the major bottlenecks that, in financial marketing or, in like all aspects of your business that AI has helped you solve over the past couple of months?
Yeah. So I think first thing, Shivani, just to build to what he was saying, that I don't think the role of marketing will change even when AI is 10x of where it is. Job of marketing is to build awareness of your product and proposition. I think if you're able to use AI in that particular example to really build a differentiated product, then the role of marketing becomes easier, because then you're not trying to, a lot of times it says, I don't have a differentiated product, now please make a good ad to sell it. Now that's where the problem happens, then what will marketing do about it? But if you have a very differentiated product which is solving a real customer problem, then marketing's job becomes easier, because then you're genuinely finding the best way to bring alive that proposition. Sorry, this is not answering a question, this is just completing one thought which was there in my mind. I think one of the biggest things which AI is trying to solve at Kotak, how many times have you called a bank or any customer service and you've been like thrown between 10 people? I don't solve this, I will transfer you to someone who can solve that. Or and then the line gets disconnected, then you call again, and then you have to repeat the whole thing again. And then after you repeated the whole thing again, the person says, you've come to the wrong place, I'll transfer to the right person. I think one of the biggest uses of Kotak AI is how can we empower our frontline and digital assistants to be able to give customers information about anything that they want to know. And banking is a very complex industry. Now, you might be a non-resident Indian calling for a non-resident Indian product, which has like 20,000 RBI regulations under that, and it'll be very different than what a UPI use case may be or a home loan use case may be. And because it's people's money at stake, there are very good and right regulations. And therefore, it is very difficult to be an encyclopedia of every banking product. And imagine the poor guy on the front line who is an RM, and you have a question for him and he can't answer that. You will almost feel that this bank doesn't know much about it. Now, if I can enable that RM through an AI chatbot which has everything about every Kotak product, and if you want to know anything about a particular product, he can immediately go to the chatbot and answer that. Or when you call up a call center, I can enable the call center to be able to do that. So that's one of the biggest use cases where AI can significantly improve customer experience. Significantly improve customer experience.
And especially in areas where, so many scams are happening, and it has impacted the sector in a big way. So has AI helped you solve for, one of the biggest challenge that you face today?
Actually, one thing which scares me a lot on AI is this whole space of deep fakes. So yesterday, Uday's, one of his deep fake video was floating on the internet and we had to kind of get it pulled down. But the quality was so damn good that you just feel worried about this whole, how AI can actually take it into the other end as well. But for me, one of the big use cases of AI is also fraud detection and fraud prevention. There's a huge problem that we face as an industry of mule accounts. And also, in some cases, let's say an old person, at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're sitting abroad and you decide to make a credit card payment. The bank will immediately say, old people at 3 o'clock are not usually on the bank website. This is a fraud. Let me, freeze this account. But it may be a genuine one. How do you differentiate between genuine fraud and false positives? That for me is one big use case that AI can, because then it has access to so much of data, it can actually realize that in that moment, is that person, what he's doing, is it genuinely real or is it a fraud? Yeah. So the whole aspect of fraud prevention is one of the biggest use cases that AI is helping us solve.
Ruchira, over to you. Continuing with this thought, one aspect where you think for your business and for your sector, AI should take lead, and one where human creativity should always be prioritized.
I like what Daniel said on relevance. I think I do agree with him actually. When we say personalization, we actually mean relevance, but relevance at scale, right? And I have to say, as a woman, I don't feel like a lot of the stuff that comes to me is frankly very, very relevant. So if someone could figure out a way of just, figuring out what's relevant to me and get that to me, great. So I love that for AI to solve for that. Where I think human creativity still has to take the leap is, I heard incredibly powerful stuff from Suresh today on philosophy, thinking, values, humanity. I think the words he used were ibadat, insaniyat, and inayat. I think that's where human beings will have to hold the line, because whether it's deepfakes, whether it's hallucinations, whether it is, all kinds of stuff. Even just basically AI picking up the wrong fake news off and, propagating it. I think that's somewhere where we need human beings to still hold the line.
Well, final thoughts to the two of you before we wrap this discussion. Daniel first and then Sanjay. Looking ahead, a game-changing AI trend that, marketers and, brand custodians should pay attention to and haven't yet paid enough attention to.
Well, AI at the moment is like an intoxicated graduate, and we're seeing it kind of move to like a master's level where it can reason. In the next 12 months, we'll have a PhD level where it can be given a complex task and break that down and solve the problem. In another 18 months, we'll have somebody that can do science, and probably by the end of this decade, we'll have a professor in our pocket. But even a professor can't solve a media plan. Even a professor doesn't necessarily have the ability to understand the macro and micro things that are going on around the world to come up with relevant concepts. So what's exciting for me is this concept of agents. So AI is having a capability to be able to augment the current workforce. I think our digital workforce plus the human workforce working together to come up with new amazing ideas is an exciting 3 years ahead.
Sanjay?
It's very dangerous to go after Daniel. There's not much left to say. But I think there's two things I just want to remind us of. One is that if you go back the last 20, 30 years in technology, anything that's come up, we've always made one fatal flaw. We've always overestimated the value of something in its first 5 years and grossly underestimated it for the next 10. So I think we're going to be supremely disappointed with AI for the next 5 years. And then we will be surprised at how wrong we got it. You go back to the internet, first 5 years, people were disappointed with the internet because they said, all I'm putting is I'm putting my management team brochures on the website. Someone said, how about if you transacted online? They said, oh, that's never going to happen. 10 years later, the world was different. So I think same with AI. So I think we'll go through the crest of, the depths of depression before we get to the crest of kind of euphoria. So that's one. I think the second is, it's changing so rapidly. So you can't pick one trend because even by the time you finish saying it, you'll be wrong already. But I think it's how close do we stay to it? How curious do we stay about it for each one of us? I think that's going to be, super important. I think the agentic one is definitely a step change. And it's going to, create, to me, it's a step change in the way AI will be deployed, the way it will be consumed. But I think it's just at a massively, rapidly evolving one. So I can't point to just one trend and say that's the one to watch for. But definitely everybody has got to stay close to it. I think this is one of those things where it's not about, like you said, it's, AI versus human creativity. I think the humans that leverage AI better will be good at and better at whatever they do, irrespective of what the job is.
Yeah, so AI and humans should hold hands and, of course, not underestimated, over the next couple of years that we are in. Thank you so much. Thanks for a very, very insightful panel. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.